Hare Krishna. In the previous shlok, we saw that Krishna advised Arjun to regulate his senses from the very beginning of his life. Now, a question arose in the mind of Arjun, that lust, which is the eternal enemy of every human being, and it resides in the mind, senses, and intelligence. Then why did Krishna tell Arjun to first regulate his senses? Krishna is going to answer this question in today's shlok, that is, in shlok number 42. Please watch the video till the end, and it's going to be very interesting as well as enlightening for each one of us. Bhagwat Gita is our life manual, and Krishna is speaking to each one of us for our benefit. And this is the only way to self-realization. Now, let's first recite the shlok number 42 of Karma Yoga. Indriyani paradyahu indriyebhyah param manah manasastu parabuddhi yo buddhi paratastu sah. Indriyani paradyahu indriyebhyah param manah manasastu parabuddhi yo buddhi paratastu sah. Indriyani, senses, parani, superior. Ahu is said. Indriyebhyah, more than the senses. Param, superior. Manah, the mind. Manasah, more than the mind. Tu, also. Para, superior. Buddhi, intelligence. Yah, one which. Buddheh, more than the intelligence. Paratah, superior. Tu, but. Sah, he. Krishna is telling to Arjun, the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Here Krishna has given a hierarchical order. Krishna says that the working senses are superior to the dull matter, and mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and the soul, that is the highest. And beyond the soul, it is only the superior, the most supreme soul. So now, let us read the purport of Srila Prabhupada to have a better understanding. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavo ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that the senses are different outlets for the activities of lust. And lust resides in the senses, mind, and intelligence. Prabhupada says that lust means the thought of enjoying the material world and having a sense of proprietorship and lauding the material world. Prabhupada says that senses are superior to the dull matter of the gross body and all the sense objects. The gross body and all the sense objects are called dull matter because without the senses, it is all inactive. For example, in a shop, many attractive things are displayed in the window. But unless and until the eyes see it and get attracted to it, the things that are displayed in the window are dull or dead. It does not have any value. Same thing goes for all the eatables and tasty dishes. When the nose gets the tempting smell, then the tongue wants to taste it. So the sum and substance of this is this, that the senses are superior to the material body, and mind is superior to the senses, and intelligence is still more superior to the mind, and the individual soul is superior to the intelligence, and only the supreme soul is higher than the individual soul. Now we have the entire graph. The lowest is the gross material body, and the highest is the individual soul. Now let's understand, why are we talking about this hierarchical order? The reason is this, that Krishna in the previous shlok had advised Arjun to first regulate his senses and not his mind and intelligence. Prabhupada explains that whenever we need to conquer a person, the weak point has to be found out. And out of the senses, mind and intelligence, senses are in the lowest position. Though the senses are superior to the gross material body, but when it comes to the senses, mind and intelligence, which is the subtle body, the mind and intelligence are higher and stronger than the senses. And it is advised to control the weakness first. This is why Srila Prabhupada has given us 4 regulative principles to control the senses. And the 4 regulative principles are: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit relationship. And further, Srila Prabhupada says to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for at least 16 rounds daily. Srila Prabhupada says that when the senses are regulated, the intelligence can be engaged in reading Bhagwat Gita, and Krishna himself has said in chapter number 12, shlok number 8, Mayyeva mana adastva mai buddhim niveshaya nivashisyasi mayyeva ata urdhavam na sanshayah. In this, Krishna says, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus, you will live in me always without a doubt. Krishna is giving us the assurance that if we fix our mind in Krishna, that is the lotus feet of Krishna, and if we engage our intelligence in knowing Krishna, then there will be no doubt that we will definitely be liberated from this endless cycle of birth and death. Now, it's important and interesting also to know that why Krishna is asking us to fix our mind and engage our intelligence in Him. It is because we engage our mind and intelligence in everything but Krishna. And engaging the mind and intelligence in Krishna means to read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam in the association of pure and senior devotees. And once the intelligence gets to know from Bhagavad Gita that the real identity of a person is soul and not the body, and that soul is the highest in the order of hierarchy, and it is the part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, then automatically the soul is engaged in serving the Supreme Soul, as we all know that the subordinate should always serve the superior. And when the intelligence and soul are engaged in the service of Krishna, then automatically the senses and the mind can't sway away. They also start serving Krishna. In this chapter itself, in shlok number 21, Krishna said, Yad yad acharati shrestha tat tat deve taro janah. It means, whatever action is performed by the superior persons, common people follow their footsteps. We have seen that if the parents read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they do chanting, they go to the temples, children automatically learn all these things. So it's very clear that the superior person or the superior authority, when engaged in Krishna's service, then automatically the subordinates, they are also engaged. And here in this shlok, the superior is the soul and intelligence. And then the mind and the senses cannot go here and there. It will also be engaged into the service of Krishna. Today in this shlok it is explained that the soul and the intelligence, which is higher to the senses and the mind, when engaged in Krishna conscious activities, then the mind and senses also follow the same. And this is the solution for all our problems. Our main problem arises when we think ourselves to be this body and not the soul. And then we try to satisfy the body by doing all kinds of sense gratifications and enjoyments, like by wearing stylish clothes, by eating all kinds of tasty food, by partying with friends, etc. etc. Srila Prabhupada says that it is not possible to stop the senses and the mind. The senses are very powerful. It is like the serpent. But when the higher authority, like the intelligence and the soul, when it is engaged in the service of Krishna, the same senses which are so powerful, it starts following the intelligence and the soul. So the senses which are like serpent, it becomes like serpent but without the fangs or teeth. So we know when the higher authority is engaged into Krishna consciousness, automatically the lower authority also follows. And by doing all the work in Krishna consciousness, a person comes out from the endless cycle of birth and death. The most important lesson in this shlok is that Krishna has made us realize who we are. And why should we get guided by the senses and mind, which is a lower authority in comparison to intelligence and soul? And once we understand and believe that I am spirit soul, a part and parcel of Krishna, then all the problems are solved. For this realization, we need to be always in the company of devotees. Do the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and follow the rules given to us by Srila Prabhupada. This is the second last shlok of Karma Yoga. And now in the next shlok, which is the last shlok, it is going to be very, very interesting, as Krishna is going to explain to us something very, very important. Please stay connected with me and do write if you need to ask any questions in the comment box. I thank all of you for listening to the Bhagavad Gita shloks very attentively, and I thank Srila Prabhupada for making us understand the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in such simple manner. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,